really great conversation, guys. I'm going to move on to Ruben. I've been told by Trim that he's next. Ruben, you're up, dude. Let me pin your video so everyone can see you. Let's see. There you are.
All right.
And go for it, man.
All right. First of all, thanks for the opportunity. So I was wondering, how do you deal with pressure? Because I myself get pretty nervous before a competition match, and I couldn't imagine how it might feel when playing the candidates or even for the World Championship.
Yeah, that's a very important thing. Pressure, stress, it affects everyone. It's just a totally human side to chess that everyone is dealing with this, and people react to it better than others. Some people react to it better than others. Um, those are inherent traits that you can't entirely change, but you can work on. I think it is helpful to realize that if you're under pressure, it's a very high chance that your opponent is also under pressure. It's not like chess is in some ways an individual game that we're all on our own at the board, but we also have to think about it not just from a purely individual point of view, but also that our opponents are dealing with all the same things. They also don't want to lose, and they are afraid of losing, and they're worried about what's going to happen, if they'll get surprised in the opening, if they'll blunder, all these things. So I think that's helpful to realize that it's not just something that you struggle with. It's something that everyone from the top level down, including all your opponents, will also struggle with. In terms of let's say purely concrete ways of dealing with it, I think that like, let's say you go to a sports psychologist and they might give you some methods, some breathing exercises, things like that might help deal with stress and pressure, because it is something that's in your head. And it's something that can be released. There are physical ways of dealing with it. So I took some sessions with a sports psychologist a few years ago. Yeah.
Hi,
Yes.
Mom. Hi, Mom.
I'm on.
Hi, Mom.
Sorry, I forgot where I was at.
You were talking about you actually met with a sports psychologist a few years ago.
Yeah, and we went through breathing exercises and dealing with these issues. It's also something that comes with experience, and also comes partly with, let's say, we naturally become more nervous or stressed when we're dealing with a new situation. That's just a normal thing. I think that's not just in chess, but if it's your first time speaking in public, or first time running a marathon. Not that I've ever run a marathon, but it's going to be more nerve-wracking the first time. So the more games you play and the more you deal with, let's say, important tournament games, important in tournament situations where you're potentially playing for some big money, or playing for, let's say, your final norm, or you're going to get the master title with this game, whatever your goal is. The first time will always be the most nervous and nerve-wracking, and with time and experience, you will be just naturally better adjusted to deal with these things. So that's something that I think just as humans we adjust to through trial and error. So yeah, practice will also help with that. But it's something that everyone has to deal with. It's not just I know it definitely feels very personal at the time that you're stressed and under a lot of pressure, but it's something that everyone is dealing with.
So is that like the equivalent of, like, if you're on the stage, just picture everybody naked? Everybody else is more embarrassed than you, so that makes you feel better? That's kind of the advice?
I've never tried that one.
That's how I get through my shows. I just picture that everyone watching me is naked, and then it makes me feel a lot better. Just kidding. Moving on. All right.